Kevin Love has been one of the trailblazers in sports to talk about mental health, and that conversation is so important right now. And his latest partnership ties all of this together.
Kevin was with us on behalf of the Genomind Mental Health Map, a comprehensive report that helps people better understand their own personal mental health obstacles. We chat with him about his own personal mental health journey, and we backtrack with him to his glory days with LeBron in Cleveland. Take a look.
Kevin, in your Players Tribune article, you said, "You can't achieve your way out of depression." That statement really resonated with me in my personal mental health journey, and I think it's really powerful for others to hear. What have you learned about yourself with that mindset that you think could help others in their daily battles?
My mindset so much growing up, even till about 3 years ago, I was giving myself gray hair. I was giving myself, I already had acute anxiety, even more anxiety, and getting myself closer to panic attacks because I was trying to achieve my way out of my depression. I was trying to achieve myself out of this anxiety, thinking if I just got to this level, maybe I'll be okay. And then, when that doesn't happen, I'm still left with this same brain, and my depression and even more anxiety arises from dormancy. So, that is something that I've had to continue to tell myself. I've had to speak it out in therapy, understanding that that's a major trigger for me, that I put that carrot right outside of what I consider success. And, that's something that, has put inflammation in my body. It's hurt my brain. It's hurt my relationships because, so much of the time I felt like nothing was good enough. And, my gratitude was thrown off, and my understanding of what was important was thrown off. And, it really affected my relationships. And at the end of the day, I feel like that is what has given so much, love and understanding and passion, all of that, consistency in my life. And, I can leverage that into so many greater things that can positively impact not only my life, but it's a domino effect. So many other people's lives. It can really create a ripple effect in that way.
Kevin, in your 2018 Players Tribune article, you wrote, "Growing up, you figure out really quickly how a boy is supposed to act. It's like a playbook. Be strong. Don't talk about your feelings. Get through it on your own." So now in 2021, how do you think boys and men should be taught differently?
Yeah, I think that language, it's beautiful to see it now change, right? I was, somebody who was going through a lot of pain and really from 12, 13 years old, middle school on. And I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't have the language to be able to communicate or speak about that at a high level. But doing the work on myself the past few years and having gone to therapy, I feel like I've been, really just diving into my relationships and becoming a better communicator and allowing myself to express myself in a positive way, in a healthy way. And I think, this new generation that we're seeing grow up now, I think they're understanding that youth can have such a positive impact and be able to make real change in the world.
I'm very curious, Kevin. You being a vet in the league, how has this conversation different today in the NBA locker room versus when you started back in 2008? I know you're one who's always tried to combat the notion of what a man can and can't talk about when it comes to mental health head on. Is that macho mentality still prevalent in the NBA?
I think to a certain extent, but I'm very thankful, first of all, to have somebody like DeMar DeRozan who was able to get my foot in the door and understand that he's a black man in America who grew up in Compton, California, and for him to step forward and say, "Hey, I deal with depression," a lot had to be considered and go through his mind and think that he was going to be looked at as weak. But what I've learned is that actually on the other end of that is becoming more evolved, and you're more empathetic, and it's almost like a superpower. I always say, only by admitting who we are do we get what we want. There's no real life to live if you're living it in the shadows. So I think, from sports players like a DeMar, like a Dak Prescott, and so on and so forth, those type of players and those type of people coming out and saying that they experience anxiety and depression and in some cases severe forms of mental illness, I think it just empowers people even outside of the world of sports, to come out and say, hey, listen, this is something that affects everybody. There's strength in numbers, and it's, when you base things, around community, it just makes you feel like you're part of something bigger and a part of, more so on the winning side of history.
Between the Kevin Love Fund, your partnership with GenoMind, and your general openness about your mental health, how important are all of these things for you outside of being defined as an NBA player?
I think, from using those 4 pillars and, trying to move myself forward, I believe that I've found life after basketball and something that's going to be a bigger legacy piece for me than this game. And that's, I really, truly believe, a beautiful thing. And listen, another thing I always say is dreams don't have deadlines, whether it's, before your career, during your career, after your primary career. For me, it took me till about 10, 11 years in to find that, but it's opened me up to so many other beautiful things after basketball. And early on, as I said in the Players Tribune articles that you guys alluded to, like I had such a, just ugly relationship with myself, or a unhealthy relationship with myself when it came to my identity outside of basketball, where if I was hurt, I didn't feel like I had anything else. Put me in a really dark spot when the game was taken away. But now I feel like, I mentioned earlier, that winning side of history, that I can play a small role in that. And that gives me the self-satisfaction that if I, merge that with, helping people, if I merge that with, what I'm doing with my fun and life after basketball, as well as my relationships, that honestly anything can be possible. So that allows me to, get some source of happiness every single day.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more videos like this, check out some of our other ones right here. And if you like what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more from USA Today Sports.